This is something I totally take for granted, and I often forget that not a lot of people know how to find their own food in the forest, and I shouldn't take it lightly. It's a big responsibility knowing what stuff is edible and what's not. And yeah, I actually take pride in it, but it's something I definitely take for granted knowing when so many people out there just have no idea what they're doing out there. I guess I should start from the beginning. Jean and I and our two dogs, Finn's not in the picture, but that's Fletch with his eyes closed, and us. We moved here 2.5 years ago, and it's been really amazing. It's like almost living our dream. It's pretty much living the dream, I guess. But I get to be in the forest every day picking wild edibles, and it benefits Gene, of course, because he gets to eat amazing dinners when I go out and find all this stuff. But it's been quite cool, and we're loving Bowen so far. What excites me the most is how much wild food we have here. There's a bounty of it, and I feel like there is such a small portion of people who actually know how to go out and safely identify and find food for their dinner right in the backyard. I'll never forget my first find. I was with Gene, and it was his first find on Bowen. We found the most beautiful yellowfoot winter chanterelle mushrooms, and it was so awesome, and it just made this place even more magical. And it was quite a good experience to come home and just saute them up for breakfast. And we were high-fiving for sure that day, just knowing that we moved to a really cool spot. My other time is, I guess my second time, I actually went out to go look for mushrooms, and I went with my friend Harmony, who was like my first friend on Bowen, and she's such an amazing human. And we came across so many wild turkey tail mushrooms, which are super good for you and more of a medicinal mushroom, but it was so great to be able to show her and share it with a friend. And that's a big part of what I love doing here on Bowen, is helping people learn about different edibles that they can find so they can feel safe and confident to maybe bring their friends out and show their family and bring home dinner, which is free in the forest, which is really amazing. I grew up in a small town just outside of Muskoka called Moonstone in Ontario. And that's where I got first exposed to wild food when I was super young. We used to harvest wild ramps and some morels, and especially puffball mushrooms. My dad would find them everywhere and bring them home. And I remember my mom never wanting to eat anything because she thought we would die. But it'd always be me and my dad cooking things up. And that's kind of the first experience I had with wild food. And it's a pretty memorable thing to have that. It's also hilarious how so many things in your life come full circle, because oh my gosh, that was years and years ago when I would harvest with my dad and eat those things. And then when I moved to Whistler like 15 years ago, I became really passionate about food, and it just led me on this journey. And then 8 years ago, or almost 9 years ago from now, I became engulfed in wild harvesting, and I worked with a company that was all about wild harvesting, and we learned so much. It was insane. Like, I've just become tunnel vision, and therefore I left that company and led into another venture of building my own, where I sell at the farmers markets in Vancouver and Whistler now. And that's been going on for 8 market seasons, and it's been so much fun, and it's exceeded to a whole other level of just me learning so much more about wild edibles now, and it's become more of an obsession than anything. Farmers market life is pretty special. It attracts the most genuine people who are so concerned with where their food is coming from, which is incredible. I now make my own tinctures and teas and things, special requests for people that I just never would have thought I'd do, and It excites me so much. I mean, my dream came true. I finally had a hedgehog come by when I had hedgehog mushrooms in season. Most people don't even know there's a mushroom called hedgehog mushroom, but it's adorable. And now that's a new client, and she brings them by to visit all the time. And I don't know, it's such an amazing community, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of it, really. The farmers market is an amazing learning place for everyone, but I've been able to learn, and I have this old man friend, Claude, who's been visiting me for like the last 6 seasons, and we talk mushrooms for hours and hours on end. Every Saturday he comes by to visit, and it's just those things that get you, I don't know, they just make your heart explode, because it's just such a special feeling. This past winter, I always bring my dog with me on Bowen when exploring, and I've been teaching my dog Fletch how to wild harvest, and he can point out turkey tails. He will find them, and artist conchs. It's so crazy, like you won't see it anywhere, and then all of a sudden he'll sit somewhere, and then he's sitting beside like a flush of turkey tail or artist conch, which are these here mushrooms, and it's blowing my mind. So this winter I'm going to take him on a wild truffle hunting course in Oregon and really see what we can get him to do, because he's so smart, and it's a pretty fascinating thing. I think all of you should spend more time in the forest. I'm preaching to the choir probably on Bowen Island, where we live in the woods, and it's just such a healing place for us to be. But I encourage all of you to get out there and ask questions, and oh my gosh, you could message me on Facebook or give me a call, and I can go out with you and help you, because being aware of what's going on in the woods is, I don't know, it's so important, and it's important for our kids to be learning and experiencing simple things just like huckleberries. It's a pretty easy to identify food, and it's right in your garden most likely. Morels aren't here, that's just for you to look at because they're amazing, but wild roses, we have tons of different fiddleheads and so many types of mushrooms, which you can be safe by learning simple, easy to identify mushrooms in the beginning, and then evolving from there. And really be sure to only consume anything or take it away from the woods, even if you're more than 200% sure of what you're wild harvesting, because it can be confusing, but if you take small steps and do little by little, you can learn so much over the years. It's pretty incredible. The earth is such an incredible playground, and I encourage you all to just spend more time in the woods, exploring and loving and relaxing.